Welcome back to another episode of the 7th Puckcast. This is Keith.
This is Chris.
And this is Keith.
Before we get started, you guys went to the Justin Bieber concert last night. Did you enjoy it?
Totally.
Okay. We're going to stick with the regular old format. Okay? Start us off, Keith.
All right, so we're going to start off with the first question is, should the NHL look into another expansion team or relocation next? And if so, where?
I'm going to go with relocation instead of another expansion team.
I agree with that.
Maybe up in Seattle. They've been looking for a team.
Yeah, Quebec's another one.
Yeah.
And I guess also another part of that question, too, should be who should be relocated.
There's probably a few teams into that. Coyotes probably should be one of the teams. They need a new market.
Yeah, especially since their deal for the new stadium has fallen through again. It seems like there's going to be problems with that.
The Devils, perhaps.
I think they're an outside chance, but there's only a very slim chance I think that would happen. I think the Florida Panthers.
I think they would probably be the top one, maybe above the Coyotes for moving.
Yeah, because, it's Florida. You don't need two teams in Florida.
No.
The place where I could see there being two teams in, the same small area would be going to Quebec.
Yeah.
You're going to have, Montreal and the Quebec, if they go back to the Nordiques or they, change to a new name. But I think that would be a better market for them to get in. The attendance, every time I turn on a Panthers game, there's no one there.
Yeah, it's just dead. It's quiet.
Even when they're, in the playoffs and, or, a playoff-bound team, there's still no one there.
It's because they're not an exciting team to watch.
No. And, there's been all the off-ice drama this year, and they got off to a terrible start, and everyone was kind of just like, whatever, we'll go back to not paying attention to hockey again.
Yeah, but I think Seattle would also be a top one. Pretty sure they built a new arena.
Yeah, or there's plans. Yeah, there's building.
And they built it with hockey in mind.
Yeah, because they want a team there.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good place to go to.
They're trying to add a new basketball team up there. I don't know, Keith, you know anything about that?
Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get the Seattle Supersonics back. They haven't had a team there for a while. They moved the Supersonics to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant's second year in the league, they moved, so.
Okay.
I did not know that the Supersonics were no longer a team until about a year ago.
Yeah, you don't know basketball. I barely know basketball, but I am a two-time defending fantasy basketball champion.
Yeah, well, that's how it works. But I think between Quebec and Seattle, one of them will eventually get an expansion team, and one of them's going to get a relocation team. I think the Carolina Hurricanes are another team that could be
outside chance.
They're stronger possibility.
I think they're on the outside because they're starting to turn around. Yeah. Well, I think next year they'll be a better team.
I think next year's going to kind of maybe be a determining factor. It depends on how we do next year. If we can make the playoffs or we start taking an even bigger step to showing we're going to be a really competitive team.
If they're competitive and they have 18, 19,000 people, 20,000 people showing up per game, I think they're going to stay.
That would be pretty much a sellout for a hockey game.
Yeah.
So I think if they're even in the 16 to 17 range, and they're doing well and they're at least even contending for a playoff spot.
If their tickets are selling while they're being competitive and being an actual team you want to watch, I don't think.
But if the sales aren't quite there, even whatever, even if they're a good team or a bad team, and the sales still again aren't quite there, I think they could be getting looked into getting moved.
I agree. Okay, I guess we'll move on to the next question.
Okay, this next one is which NHL player needs to win the Stanley Cup the most that has not won a cup?
Firstly, I have two on top of my head. Thornton and Ovechkin.
Ovechkin was the first one that comes to my mind, especially Thornton, yeah, it would kind of just be one of those, it'd be a nice thing for him to win the cup. Ovechkin needs to win a cup in the battle of him versus Sidney Crosby, who's better.
This is true.
Because for years now, it's been those two just, always compared to one another. Who would you have taken Ovechkin first? Would you rather have him? Would you rather have Crosby?
But I still think that Capital team has a more chance to win it this year. win more past this year.
Yeah.
Because Thornton's 37. It might be one of his last chances to finally win one.
Yeah, it's definitely...
I think Thornton will be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't think he needs the cup to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but it's just to finish off his career like that, go out on a high note.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I think for Ovechkin, I guess, he wins it. How far does he move up on the list of the greatest players of all time?
Yeah. With Thornton, though, I think if he doesn't win it this year, this is it. This is his last shot.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to throw money on it that he's going to be on the Golden Knights.
Okay.
Because at this point, I mean, they took the captaincy away from him a couple of years ago. He's getting older. They're not going to want to protect him in the expansion draft. They have other guys they have more vested into at this point in their careers. And I think the Golden Knights would be happy to take him.
Yeah.
So I think, and obviously I don't think the Golden Knights are going to be very competitive. Like, they're not going to be chasing cups within 2 years of, their inception.
Just because they won't have that prospect talent that just explodes.
Yeah, they won't have a prospect pool. They're not going to have, I mean, they could have a semi-okay team, but they're not, I don't necessarily think they're going to be like the worst team in the league next year.
They'll be like a Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Just with fans.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's more important that Ovechkin gets one at least now, and then hopefully can get another later to, say like, okay, Crosby has his cups, and now I have my cups, and
yeah.
Because if his career ends and Crosby has the cups and Ovechkin doesn't, everyone's going to be like Crosby was the better player.
Yeah, Crosby's the better player,
the better leader, the better
captain, and then Ovechkin, good goal scorer.
He was a great scorer, yeah. And I think that would really be a bug up Ovechkin's bum.
He'll play till he's 50 until he finally wins one.
Yeah.
He'll sit out there in free agency till he sees a team that's going to win it no matter what and be like, I'll sign for a nickel.
Give me shift. Let me play on the power play.
I can
still stand right there like I always do.
Give me Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Let me drink my Coca-Cola on the bench. You put me on the face-off dot. I take slap shot. We go to Stanley Cup.
No, if that actually worked for him now.
Yeah. Well, I think this year they have a good shot.
They do.
They get past the second round.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I think that needs, or not needs to win a cup.
No, because you got people like Kane and Taves.
They've already gotten theirs.
They got enough for everyone.
Iginla?
Yeah, maybe Iginla.
But I don't think that's, well, it's obviously not going to happen because the Kings aren't going to make the playoffs this year.
No, it really won't affect much like his career moving up.
Yeah. He's kind of getting annoying at this point in the I need to be moved all the time to a team that's, a contender.
For you, Lundqvist.
Yeah. I definitely... See, the thing is that you look at them and it's like, yeah, it would be really good to get him a cup, but in no way, shape, or form does it fall on him that they haven't won that cup.
Pretty much, you wanted him to win that cup 3-4 years ago when the Devils still had Brodeur, and all the Devil fans were like, we have Stanley Cups!
Yeah, I think when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals against Tampa Bay was maybe their best shot that they might get for the next few years, but I guess depending really on free agency this year, what the Rangers do, if they trade Nash, do they bring in Shattenkirk? There's a lot of ifs going into the Rangers next season. Yeah. They could challenge for a cup next year if they make, certain little moves, or they could miss the playoffs next year if they make a couple wrong moves.
Yeah. I guess we'll move on, but if any of you have any other people that you think might be, leave us a comment.
Yeah, let us know.
Yep. All right. The next one. Should the NHL change the playoff rankings format? Like teams that sit there and have better records but are a wild card team.
It's kind of hard to say, but at the same time, it does make sense because of how dominating the Metropolitan is.
Yeah, but at the same time, why should a team that's better be punished?
Yeah.
I would rather just see it go back to,
top 8.
East and West, the best 8 teams. I don't care if it's the entire Metropolitan Division that's better. Those better teams get in. Than it just being, the top these guys and here's some wild cards and that's it. So, I mean, I'm just more think just take the best teams. Because that means you get the most exciting hockey come the playoffs. Because you actually have the best teams in the rankings that they're supposed to be going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not you made it in on a, technicality.
Because everyone else was terrible in your division.
I mean,
I think if everything seemed a little bit more balanced standing-wise, it probably wouldn't be talking about it, but...
Yeah, I definitely would have...
Like, when you go out west, it's pretty much that's how it's lined up.
Yeah, I mean, and out west right now, I mean, it's you have, like, the Oilers, Sharks, and Ducks, like, all at, like, the same points.
Yeah.
So, like, out there, it's kind of maybe a little less of an issue, like... But especially because we see it more in the East, because we're on the East Coast.
The Rangers win the wild card with more points than...
Then, yeah, some of the teams that are, first and second place in the other division.
All right, so I kind of see where that's going on.
Yeah.
Anything else to add on that? Or?
I think that's about it. It was kind of a quick question.
Yeah, that was a really quick question. Again, if anyone, feel free to chime in for us.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with that. I agree with you guys on that one. So, yeah. Which players carried their team into the playoffs this year?
I definitely would say Connor McDavid.
Yep.
I really didn't even honestly think the Oilers might not make the playoffs again when they traded Hall away. I know Connor McDavid was going to be really good, but he's really put that team on his back.
But what they did was they shipped Hall and brought in a bodyguard.
Yeah. Well, at least just a defenseman who doesn't need to be the offensive defenseman because McDavid will take care of that.
Yeah. But I meant, like, not as far as Larson, but bringing in Lucic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To be the bodyguard for McDavid.
Mm-hmm. And Patrick Maroon, too.
Yeah.
They're both two big guys who can play, up on the lines.
He definitely carried it very quietly, helped them do that.
Draisaitl, definitely. I mean, he's at like a 71 point, I think, after his point tonight or something, a 71-point season, something like that, which quietly has put up just an insane year.
Yeah.
Another guy I would say would be a guy like Brent Burns.
Okay, that's understandable.
When
I
you
think
get
everyone
that
knew that team was going to make the playoffs.
I think everyone did, but at the same point, they haven't. There's been some guys that haven't had like maybe their most best years in San Jose this year. They haven't scored as many points.
Yeah, it's kind of been more spread out.
It's been a little more. And then there's Burns, who's giving you like 20-some goals or whatever from a defenseman.
30.
Is he at 30 now?
Who?
Brent Burns.
How many goals does he have right now, Keith?
I think he's still at 29.
Okay.
Yeah, I know he's in his 20s.
You look that up while we continue.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't get that kind of goal scoring from your defense.
No.
And without a defenseman putting up those goals, they might not be nearly in the position they are now.
28.
He has 28. Okay,
so almost a 30-goal scorer from your defense.
Another player, I think Boston right now holds the last wild card.
Yes, I believe they do.
Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand definitely has. I mean, he's been the only consistent scorer.
Yeah.
On that team.
Like they have Krug, who has all the assists, but he's not score. Like
he gets a goal here and there, but it's not enough to.
But it's
put
Marchand
a team over.
Third in the league with I think 37 goals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just piling them up right now.
Yeah.
And he's definitely put the team on his back and let him.
Devin
Dubnyk, especially, he's faltered a little recently.
He has, but I mean, he held them so high in the beginning where they could lose every game and probably still have made the playoffs at that point.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, if I'm the Minnesota Wild, I'm happy to be having my cold streak right now.
Yeah.
When you're already clinched the spot. Yeah, you backed into the spot because, another team lost. But you're in the playoffs. Work out the kinks now because I feel like every year you see a team go into the playoffs just on fire and they get knocked out.
And they fizzle out.
They fizzle out in that first series and get knocked out.
And then it's that team that's a little cold.
Yeah, that team who struggled down the stretch,
that
all of a sudden they get hot and boom, they go off and they just tear through it.
Sharks last year.
Yeah. They were having trouble. And Sharks again this year.
Yeah.
They're struggling again right now, but
they've been doing that all season. Like they win more than they lose, but I mean they struggle to win more than they lose.
Yeah.
I guess with Columbus. Do you think Bobrovsky's carried him, or just the whole team has just showed up?
I think Bobrovsky's done maybe a decent chunk of the weightlifting, but that whole team has chipped in and done their part.
I think it's a group effort.
It is a group effort. Yes, Bobrovsky has done a lot for that team, but so has everyone else.
Yeah. No one's really carried the Rangers or the Penguins.
It's kind of similar. Well, the Penguins, you have Crosby who's carrying them because, they've had a lot of injuries all year.
Yeah.
They have a lot of guys who weren't expected to even do much
when someone
playing in
gets
the top
hurt,
lines.
People have been stepping up for that team.
Yeah.
They still have Malkin, too.
Yeah,
They still got
Malkin.
Malkin and Kessel. They're still a dangerous team. But and Malkin's actually had a really good year.
Malkin and Bonino.
Bonino,
Really good this
Schultz has been he's had a big comeback year on defense for them, especially with all the injuries to their defense.
Well, when he was originally drafted by the Edmonton Oilers, that's what they thought they were getting.
Yeah, and they didn't.
And he just...
Yeah. Connor Sheary also has had a really good year for Pittsburgh. The Rangers, again, it's a group effort there.
Group effort. I'm trying to think of the teams right now going through.
Predators, you look at a guy like maybe Philip Forsberg, who has started off the year a little rough, but then when it came time, we're like, we need to start getting wins here or we're not making the playoffs. It's looking a little dicey right now. He went on that massive tear, back-to-back, hat tricks and whatnot.
They brought in Subban to be that player, but it wasn't him.
Yeah, he's been more playing the defensive role, I think, just possibly because of injuries and things like that this year. But
Calgary's just a whole team.
Yeah, Calgary is a whole team. They're young, but they play...
It's that new defense of theirs.
Yeah, Dougie Hamilton re-emerging again this season. It's hard to say Elliott, but recently it's been Elliott's tremendous play. Earlier this year, he looked like he might be the reason they might not make the playoffs.
Yep.
So, it's hard to say he carried the team when he was an anchor around their necks for the first half of it.
This is very true.
Montreal...
No one really...
The only problem...
Weber's had a nice year, though.
Yeah, Weber's had a decent year. Carey Price has been okay, as expected. But, there's not really much... Pacioretty has a bunch of goals, though. He's, I think, over the 30-goal plateau this year.
I think so.
Quietly, he's been putting up some really good goal scoring up there.
But he's always been putting up...
Yeah,
those
but other
goals.
than that, there's really no depth to that team. The only problem is with the Rangers, if the season ended today, the Rangers would play Montreal, and the Rangers can't beat Montreal. For whatever reason, they can't do it.
You got the rookies of Toronto.
The rookies of Toronto leading the way, and Frederick Anderson shutting the door in net. But especially the Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews,
William Nylander.
JVR has been chipping in goals. That team's quietly kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
It's just they have an inexperience issue, but that's a really good team already.
That's pretty much... All of the teams are pretty much... They've been a whole team.
Chicago, you got Patty Kane. Taves not so much this year, but you got Kane, Panarin.
Yeah, Hosas has decent amount of...
Hosas got over.
Yeah, Hosas had a little bit of a reemergence after... Not a reemergence completely, but he's
played well.
He's out of that slump he had last year.
The Ducks have a whole team effort. The Blues
especially
have a
from
whole
their
team
defense.
That pretty much covers all those teams.
Yeah.
Rangers are on Ottawa. I don't know how... I've watched them play. They don't look like they're a 91-point team at this point.
Yeah, I look at that... I've seen them play a bunch of times this year, and I look at the roster, and I just go how do they have 91 points? Where is it coming from?
41 wins.
Yeah. I don't get where that's coming from. They don't really have that great of a team.
Maybe just while no one's paying attention, they just changed the standings.
I feel like that's what's happening, because, good for them.
Yeah.
But, you're not even hearing a lot of talk about Erik Karlsson this year, probably because Brent Burns has been...
of
Brent
late,
Burns this year.
Karlsson's been
Yeah.
one of the better players.
Yeah, he's only a couple points behind Burns now.
Yeah. But to me, even if they finish the year tied in points, Burns is more valuable to me because he scores goals.
Yeah. Karlsson, he just... Other than tonight, he just played 324 straight games.
Yeah, he's an Iron Man.
He's an Iron Man, which is something hard to find.
Yeah, it's an important thing to have.
Okay, Keith, do you have anything else for us?
Yeah. if you had to choose a player this year who has surprised you more than anyone, who is it?
Could it be negative?
Yes.
Tyler Toffoli.
Anze Kopitar. I'm going to go with the Kings, but I'm going with Anze
look at
Kopitar. I mean, he's the highest paid player in the league this year,
Yeah.
and he hasn't
Where is he?
scored. I mean, it seems to be a curse of the captain out in L.A. because, I mean, Dustin Brown was a, point getter, that grinder, got the C, stopped scoring. Kopitar puts up big points every year, gets the C, stop scoring.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, was it the old EA cover? Like anytime any athlete was on the cover of an EA
The Madden
covers.
curse.
Yeah, the Madden curse. I'd feel like that's like the curse out in LA. I just so surprised at how bad of a year.
The New York Islanders.
Yeah, if you're going for a team,
Yeah.
I would definitely put the Islanders there.
And then Oilers at the opposite end of that.
Oilers at the opposite end as being really good.
McDavid, I knew was going to put up the points.
I little disappointed in both Florida teams though this year.
Okay.
I expect
Stars.
very disappointed in Dallas, but at the same time, when they didn't fix their goaltending problem, which is the reason they didn't make it anywhere in the playoffs last year, it wasn't that hard to see that unless they had that tremendous goal scoring like they did last year again,
Yep.
it wasn't going to happen.
Okay, I guess we should stick on some players. Backstrom.
Backstrom scoring a little more this year.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have a
points.
solid year, but I mean he's having a fantastic year.
While Ovechkin's not having
Yeah.
his best year.
He's not going to hit 40 goals this year.
Yeah, a little disappointed in that too. In that regard, as Ovechkin not scoring.
But the team's winning, so I'm sure he's
A-okay.
with it.
Oshie with his first 30-goal season, too.
Yeah.
Andrew Ladd.
I think most people kind of forgot he played hockey.
Let's just...
And we'll move on.
I'm sure the Jets aren't too upset because Blake Wheeler.
Blake Wheeler,
Line
Patrick
A.
Line. Well, I mean, Line A was expected to be good. I don't know if they thought it was going to be this good this soon.
I kind of expected Scheifele to have a good year this year.
Not as
Yeah.
good as he's had, though.
No.
Almost 80 points.
Trying to think if there's anyone else that's really been, I didn't see coming. I honestly thought Tyler Johnson was going to have a little bit more of a resurgence after last year.
But he's hurt.
I mean, he's hurt, but even before he was
Yeah.
hurt. He had that great year 2 years ago. Last year, it was what happened? I was like, I think that will just, kind of be one of those, fluky years that he didn't, and he'll be back to, what he did
Yeah.
the previous 2 years, and he really hasn't.
I think PK Subban on the negative end.
Yeah. If you want to start looking almost at prospects, Malcolm Subban on the negative end. Not looking good there.
No.
Raquel on a positive.
Raquel.
Raquel, definitely having a great.
He's
even
probably
though
one
he
of my
held
favorite
out.
players in the league, though. So
He's fun to watch.
32 goals.
yeah, so that's 32 right now.
I think he could be up there closer to even challenging, maybe even Crosby for that, most goals, scored in the year, if he hadn't held out at the start of the year.
Yeah.
I think that kind of hurt him from his chances of getting the award.
Okay. I don't know if you have any more other questions for us, Keith, or not.
Oh wait, one last negative: the Colorado Avalanche.
But are they a negative?
I didn't think they were going to be that bad.
You know when we were talking about teams moving? We didn't even think about them.
They're not going to move. They've
Yeah.
been
They
there.
sell out a lot. Even with a shitty team, they still have a lot.
That's probably because they sell a lot of food out there in Colorado.
Yeah.
The weed.
Get all the weed and food.
Watch a hockey game.
You know what? Our team sucks.
Goal! Yeah!
But-
It's the other team.
But there's a cheeseburger here. So, yeah. I just like making fun of Colorado for this season. It's just been
Yeah.
awful. But yeah, that's about all I got for pluses and minuses.
Well, unless Keith has any more questions for us, that just about wraps us up for tonight.
Yeah, I think
He gave me the shake of the head. He's done.
probably next week we'll actually have the set playoff picture. So we'll be able
We'll give
to
you our
dive
matchups. A little less of Keith asking us questions, more of just
who's my pick for who's going to win the series versus your pick for who's going to win a series. Maybe our predictions for
maybe we can set up a playoff bracket.
Yeah.
You guys could all come join it.
Yeah, and we'll just kind of compare ours at the end of the,
Yeah. Let's see if you guys can pick better than we can.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. Maybe there'll be a cash prize.
Probably not. We're poor.
Yeah, exactly. Shh. All right. That's it for tonight's show, though.
Good night.
Go home.
Go home.